Here, I'm going to simply, again, very simply refer to the way of recognizing experientially that consciousness and the totality of existence are not separate, that they are one in essential substance. Their essential substance is the same. So immediately refer to consciousness, recognize you are conscious, and understand that recognizing consciousness is by consciousness itself. Thought does not recognize consciousness. Sensation does not recognize consciousness. The only one that knows or recognizes is consciousness. So only consciousness can be conscious or recognize its own presence. So now, as consciousness, being conscious of itself, refer now to what we perceive to be the apparently physical cosmos, the landscape that's appearing, the sounds, and recognize that consciousness is conscious of the landscape, the sounds, what is being presented as the apparently physical cosmos. And again, recognize it is consciousness that is recognizing itself, that is conscious of itself, being conscious of the landscape, the sound. And recognize that the sound and the landscape do not have an independent existence apart from the recognition of them, the consciousness of them. We've never verified that a landscape, a perception, an apparently physical cosmos exists independently of consciousness. All we can verify is that there is an apparently physical cosmos that is dependent on consciousness being present. Without consciousness, this apparently physical cosmos would not exist. Try now to peel the landscape away from consciousness, or peel a sound away from the consciousness that knows it. We cannot. We cannot disconnect consciousness from the perception. We cannot place the perception somewhere other than the consciousness that knows it. The consciousness that knows is the presence here, and the perception is appearing within this here-ness of consciousness, conscious of itself. So just see that everything that exists, that we experience, is dependent upon the presence of consciousness, the here-ness of consciousness. And that if we look to where all of the perceptions in the apparently physical cosmos exist, they exist here. The object, apparently over there, what we conceptualize to be over there, is here at consciousness. The sound that we perceive or imagine to be over there at a distance is in fact here at consciousness. Everything that we Perceive is here at consciousness, within consciousness. Whatever is at consciousness is one with consciousness. So we could say it is within consciousness. If we formulate that there are objects that appear, then as a concession to that formulation, we can understand that consciousness is a space-like medium in which those objects arise. So we can say those objects of perception arise within the here of consciousness. But in fact, if we can see clearly that everything that exists appears at consciousness, then everything that we perceive in existence is appearing as consciousness. It is consciousness that is appearing at the here of itself as everything. Everything is here as consciousness. If you've listened this far and this seems very abstract, it just means that there hasn't been a resonance in your direct experience. Instead, there's some kind of intellectualizing about what is being spoken here rather than referring to direct experience. When I say consciousness, I do not refer to some intellectual abstraction. I refer to a direct experience that is present now. The consciousness that is conscious of these words now, here. The now, the here, they're not some fabricated realm theorized to exist. The here, the now are direct experiencing of consciousness. So refer only to that. Refer to the experience that is beyond the words. And by referring to the direct experience, there is the absolute sufficiency of establishing the truth of the words, that everything that exists, everything that we perceive, the movements of thought, sensation, perception that constitute the apparently physical cosmos exist here as consciousness, within consciousness, made of consciousness. So what are the implications of this? Everything is made of consciousness. So this body is made of consciousness. This apparently physical cosmos is made of consciousness. The consciousness that we are. There is only one consciousness that we're currently experiencing. We will not experience another consciousness in the future. When two people come together, there are not two consciousnesses present. There is only one consciousness appearing as both people. And that is our experience when we meet another person through a person. Then there is only one consciousness present, appearing as everything, as everyone. And this is not to suggest solipsism, for that would be a point of view that doesn't resonate with intelligence. We can make the reasonable inference based on our experience that there are other perspectives through which consciousness is perceiving itself simultaneously. So when two people meet, it is one consciousness perceiving through both people. It is not one consciousness perceiving through one person and then imagining the other person. But that other person does not have any internal subjective perspective. We can make this reasonable inference because there is already one individuated perspective through which consciousness is perceiving. And so it is highly likely that there are others. And being that there are trillions of creatures that exist on this planet alone, and when we meet those creatures through this creature, through our personal expression, there is a resonance of understanding, empathy, compassion, love that we share. We speak to one another because we're interested in being understood. We enjoy the experience of understanding that is mutual, that is shared. So there is a coming together in understanding, and that understanding stands under our interaction as two people. So it is the consciousness that is perceiving through both people that understands the sharedness of what is pointed to, that there is only one reality, or that there is a commonality of a conceptual framework, like, wow, this painting is beautiful. One person could say that, and the other person could agree. And that agreement between them is by the consciousness that understands the experience of beauty. And it is that one consciousness that is manifesting the sense of agreement between two people, the sense that we share this understanding and this view. That is not solipsism. That is non-duality. One infinite consciousness manifesting as a multiplicity and diversity of creatures and people, and perceiving through all of those vehicles the interior of its own imagination, the imagination that we call the apparently physical cosmos, and all the creatures and people within it.